After many months of sifting through the announcement trailer, screenshots, and Steam page for Blackfrost, I'm finally attempting to make videos on all the observations I've made on what we've seen so far. Most of the observations are pretty universal, such as the inclusion of Pinnacle Peaches in the trailer, so those I'm not going to talk about. But there are other more subtle details I can't help but notice and want to share my thoughts on. For this video, I want to discuss one of the things from Blackfrost that I'm most excited to learn more about, which is the Brown Bramble nuclear power plant. This is everything we know about the Brown Bramble nuclear power plant so far. First, I want to read an excerpt from the Blackfrost Steam page about the new hazards present in the game. Urban risks, the deep freeze of an intense northern winter, extreme weather events, aurora storms, and the dreaded radioactive Blackfrost emitted by the reactor complex looming on the horizon. Layered on the dangers from wildlife and other survivors you encounter along the way, Blackfrost introduces a whole host of new hazards to the survival sandbox. As I mentioned in the previous Blackfrost video I made, I believe that a lot of what we saw in the Var Territory expansion was a sort of experiment for Blackfrost. The expansion further expanded many of the systems and mechanics we were already familiar with, such as the types of hazards. For the longest time, the Long Dark only had the weather, wildlife, and aurora-related mechanics as the major hazards throughout the world. The expansion added new hazards such as an apex predator, the cougar, the glimmer fog, and a poisonous environment along with a poisoned wolf variant. The Long Dark 2 seems to put an emphasis on a series of new hazards, including the radioactive Blackfrost. Speaking of the Blackfrost, we can see it immediately within the first scene of the announcement trailer. In the background of this wilderness scene, we can see the Brown Bramble complex in the distance, and a cloud of black debris spewing out of it. This cloud is likely the radioactive material pouring out of a melted down reactor that will precipitate as black snow or black frost. The way I imagine it in my head, the debris won't just fall in the immediate area around Brown Bramble. I would personally love to see this debris form visible clouds from a distance that can be tracked, leaving behind the Blackfrost wherever it goes. This is just wishful thinking on my part, but I do want to point out some other intriguing moments from the trailer and screenshots that might actually support my idea. Before I get to that, I want to examine everything else relating to Brown Bramble and point out all of the other details I've noticed. To start, there is this scene with what looks like toxic water flowing down a river. This could be runoff from the melted down reactor, but it also could be runoff from areas affected by the Blackfrost. Either way, I'm curious to learn what this green looking water actually is and whether it would be toxic to consume or even cross it. We also get a brief look at this poster for Brown Bramble in the trailer scene that looks like a prelude to a human versus human conflict. The poster looks like an advertisement for the power plant and looks like they were hiring before the first flare. There is also the scene from the trailer showing a close-up but brief glimpse of the Brown Bramble complex. While the scene is quite dark and very short, there is a lot of information you can get from it. If you look carefully, you can make out an additional survivor by the vehicles in the background. They are briefly illuminated by the light as the aurora powers the atmosphere. On the ground, you can see strange plant life that seems alien compared to the rest of the trailer and screenshots so far. It could be a fungus of some kind, but I'm not sure what exactly it is. There are many cases of plants and fungi surviving and even thriving in radioactive environments. This concept, called radiosynthesis, would mean these organisms survive off of metabolizing radiation from their local environment. Whether that is happening here at Brown Bramble or not is still unknown, but it is a possibility. Towards the end of the scene, we do get a good look at the main survivor. They are wearing a hazmat suit and using a Geiger counter, which is likely required to explore the Brown Bramble complex. The survivor also has what looks like a poncho. I believe a poncho can be seen earlier in the trailer, but it is hard to tell. They also have a Harmont Fire Department oxygen tank on their back in place of a backpack. The outfit they are wearing looks to be a bit makeshift, almost like there may be many combinations of clothing that can be worn to explore Brown Bramble. That actually seems to be the case with the many examples of different clothing combinations throughout the trailer with different types of bags, holsters, slings, etc. I doubt the fire department is the only place with an oxygen tank, but it could be a requirement with a specific location. I'm also wondering if radiation will play a big part away from Brown Bramble, and if it can linger in any exposed clothing. At the very end, we can see the complex light up and hear an alarm go off. What this means isn't clear yet, but it might indicate something important. This is where I want to talk about some heavy speculation I have about Brown Bramble and how it functions. The power plant's purpose isn't known yet, but I get the strange feeling that it will serve somewhat like a dungeon in an RPG game. What's inside could be all sorts of important and unique gear and resources that can't be found elsewhere. If the complex requires electricity from an aurora to enter, a hazmat suit, and Geiger counter, it definitely feels like it could be a dungeon-like experience. I'm not saying we're going to fight a bunch of skeletons and discover fat loot inside, but I can't think of another reason to go in. Being the source of the Blackfrost, which is the name of the game, Brown Bramble must be a place of extremely important significance. Maybe it's for the story, maybe it's for survival, but it's definitely a key location in the game. I finally get to talk about the last and biggest observation I've made about the Brown Bramble scene. If you look to the side, you can see what looks like a path that the survivor near the cars cleared by walking through the snow. It is in fact snow because you can see the white snow below what I assume is the Blackfrost. If you zoom into the snow path, you can make out what looks like lines or striations in the snow. These lines are layered snow and Blackfrost that have fallen around the complex. This would mean that Blackfrost won't always fall all around the complex, and the start of the trailer kind of proves it. You can see the debris cloud moving in one direction, meaning the other side could be clear. On a snowy day, regular snow could be falling on one side of Brown Bramble and Blackfrost on the other. Additionally, I noticed something interesting in this concept art on the Steam page. This is indeed concept art because it doesn't have the same level of detail and lighting as the in-game screenshots. You can see that this survivor has cleared a path in the snow by walking through it, the same as the Brown Bramble scene in the trailer. You can also see the same striation lines in the layers of the snow, which could indicate that Blackfrost can travel very far and may even fall in the direction of the wind. This could mean that the radioactive debris from Brown Bramble could be a constant threat in any direction around the complex, covering distant parts of the world. Because this is concept art, this could mean that this is what Hinterland intended for the deep snow to look like. This would be a product of them establishing what Blackfrost looked like and what it did to the world in early production. What I think this means is that we may occasionally have to deal with Blackfrost storms from time to time. If we get caught in one such storm, we might have to immediately find shelter to avoid the radiation. This could be how Blackfrost becomes one of the core hazards for the game, making it a constant concern, as dangerous as weather, wildlife, and auroras. Being the name of the game, this is one potential way that Blackfrost is used to make survival much more difficult. Maybe this is why Brown Bramble is so important. It could be the answer to the Blackfrost. Please do remember that a lot of this video is speculation, so none of this is confirmed. This is just what I've observed, and this is my take on what I'm seeing. This topic makes me so excited to play The Long Dark 2 because of how prominent Brown Bramble and the Blackfrost are shown and represented in the announcement trailer and Steam screenshots. What do you think about all of this? Do you believe that Brown Bramble may be a dungeon-like experience? What about the possibility of shifting and traveling radioactive debris? Let me know in the comments. Also, if you have any suggestions for interesting Blackfrost-related topics, let me know. One topic I recently covered was some of the foods I would love to see in Blackfrost, which I will link in the description if you want to watch. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like for the algorithm so I can continue making them.